Hey guys, Eric Anderson here. I'm the CEO of Alexander Anderson Real Estate Group, a developer, a fundraiser, and an educator. We're here today to talk about Google's most asked real estate question. So, is it better to buy or rent? Well, hell, it's always better to buy. Not really. I like buying because it gives you control over your property and no one can ever kick you out. That is, unless you don't pay your mortgage. But sometimes it's better to rent if you're not sure if you want to be in an area more than a year or two. So really it depends on the situation. But buying gives you something to work towards. It gets you a full-time goal of owning that property in the future. But remember, your house is not always an asset. So until it's paid off and it's earning money for you, it's not an asset. So it could go either way, depends on the situation. What type of home will fit my budget? Well, that's a tough one because the budget is different for everybody. Some people make a lot of money, some people don't make a lot of money. So it really depends on where you are in your cycle. You don't want to be house poor. My wife always says to me, I don't want to be house poor. I want to make sure that I have enough money to go out to dinner. I want to make sure I have enough money to go on trips. I want to make sure I have enough money to go to the movies. It depends on your situation. Try not to spend more than 30 or 40%, and that's even high, of what your income is. And that's your after-tax income. So make sure you're comfortable living your life and don't become house poor. What are some of the pros and cons of buying an older house? Well, that's easy too. Sometimes an older house, because it's older, is a little bit less expensive and it helps you ease your way into the real estate market. You know, older houses also have more charm sometimes. They have better quality builds, but there could be some negatives there too. They're not updated. They don't have the closets that you want. It really depends on the situation. I love older homes because to me, it's a value add proposition. I can go in, I can fix it, I can build equity by fixing it and making it better. How can I learn about my neighborhood? Well, that's great. Neighborhoods are super, super important because you want to know where you're living. You want to know who you're dealing with. You want to know what your neighbors are. Go on Google. That's easy. Type in, who lives in my neighborhood? Check out the schools. Go to the local library. Go hang out. Go to some of the restaurants. Feel it out. Pretend like you're living there. Go there for 3 or 4 weekends in a row. Go there at different times. Go there at nighttime. Go there in the morning. Feel who's there. Learn about what people are doing in your neighborhood. And that's how you're going to understand who's there and if it's something you fit into. How much should I put down? Well, that really depends on your mortgage program. The more you put down, the easier it is usually to get a mortgage. Some people like to put down a lot of money so their payment is smaller. Some people like to put down as little as possible because they want to have that money in their pocket. So it really depends on the situation. And most importantly, it depends on whether or not you can get a mortgage. So talk to your mortgage broker and see what you can qualify for, and that'll help you determine what you can put down. When should I apply for a mortgage? Well, applying for a mortgage really happens when you're actually going and buying the house. So it's not about applying, but it's about getting a pre-approval. As soon as you think that you want to buy something or you want to start understanding homes, go talk to our mortgage broker. They're going to help you understand what the ratios are. They're going to teach you how much money you're going to need to buy that house. They're going to teach you what some of the real estate programs are that are out there. And they're going to be instrumental in determining A, if you can qualify for a mortgage, and B, if so, how much of a mortgage you can qualify on. And that's what's determine what you can buy. So super important, do that early on. How can I save on my mortgage payments? Well, that's interesting. So I'm a big proponent of not saving on my mortgage payments. I love to have a mortgage because the bigger the mortgage and the more time that it's stretched out means the more money that I can keep in my pocket to invest into other projects. So it depends on what you want to do. If you're a real estate investor and you want that money to be liquid so you can do other things, then you want to keep your mortgage payments and you don't want to save on them. You just want to keep paying them and using your money in other areas. However, if you don't want to do that, the lower the interest rate is, the better the deal you're going to get. So that's how you're going to keep your payments lower, by getting a lower interest rate. However, you can always pay down your mortgage. So you can always add an extra payment every year. You can always add extra money every month. That money goes down right towards the principal, and it's going to lower the amount of money that you're getting charged interest on. So that's going to make your payments be finished faster. So that would be the way to do it. What's the best way to find the right home? Is there ever a right home? That's really the question right there. You know, when you're a married couple, your wife has one idea, the husband has another idea. It's really, where are you comfortable? What makes you relax? Go into that house and say, oh, I can really see myself here. But remember, location is the most important thing. Buy the location, you can fix the house. Never buy a house that is awesome in a location that you don't want to be in because you can't change it. Make sure that house is where you want to be in that right location, and then the rest you can change. Should I buy during a seller's market? A question that people ask me all the time: is now a good time to buy? If you're not going to move in the next 10 years and you need a place to raise a family and you're going to be somewhere, then I don't really think it matters. The 10-year time frame is going to give you enough cycles where you'll be able to figure out when you should move or when you shouldn't move, or really fight off any kind of issues. You know, I like to buy value-added properties that I fix, so that helps me offset any kind of market fluctuations that happen. But remember, if you want to live your life and you want to buy a house and you want to start a family, you just got to do it. So buy when it's right for you as a family, buy what's right for you to afford. Don't worry about what time it is. How to figure out my home's value? Well, that's a tough one. Everybody has different values. Everybody has a perceived value, and that may not be the value that the market has. So remember, just because you think the house is worth $1 million doesn't mean anyone else will be, because it's really what the market dictates. The market dictates the price of your house. How many houses are for sale right now? What's the mortgage rate right now? That's what's going to determine the price of your house. Look at other houses in the area, look at what they've sold for, talk to real estate agents, have them come in. They'll give you a market analysis that will tell you what your house is worth. And really the only way you're ever gonna know is by putting it on the market and seeing who buys it and what the price they're gonna pay. Can I back out of my contract? Well, it's difficult to back out of a contract. I'm not a lawyer, so if you sign a contract, there's contingencies in that contract. If you have a contingency that says, I have an inspection, and in that inspection I find termites, then I can back out of the contract, then you're within the rights of that contract. If you've passed all your contingencies and you just want to back out because you just don't want it anymore, that really depends on the contract and where you are. So you have to talk to an attorney. Attorneys are a great tool to help you protect yourself in a real estate transaction. Different parts of the country don't require attorneys, but I would never buy a property without having my attorney look at the contract. Do I have to hire a real estate agent? That's, I'm a real estate agent, so I want to say, yes, you have to hire a real estate agent, but really you don't. Sometimes people sell their house with a real estate agent and sometimes they don't. What's nice about having a real estate agent, especially if they're working for you as the buyer, is they're gonna help watch your back. They're gonna make sure that you're spending the right amount of money for the right amount of asset. They're gonna help you with negotiations. They're gonna know the process. They're gonna help you with inspections. They're gonna help enlighten you to the process and make sure you don't miss a step and help protect you. So I love real estate agents. I would suggest that you use one at all times. How much is an agent's commission? Well, by law and by practice, commissions are negotiable. A seller usually determines what they're willing to pay on a commission, and then a real estate agent decides whether or not they want to take that agreement or not. Real estate agents can ask for whatever commission they want, and so can sellers. So there's no real rules as to what the commission rates are. It just depends on what the people are willing to pay for. Is the commission negotiable? Well, I just answered that in my first question. 100%, everything is negotiable. Everything in life is negotiable. You just have to get two people to agree to something and then you have a deal. What are the signs that the market will crash? Well, having lots of houses all of a sudden come on the market at the same time in the same town, that's not a good sign. That means that something's going on. So you have to understand, if all of a sudden 30 houses go on in a town that's used to having 5 houses at a time, you can rest assured that there's a reason for that, and that's going to bring the value of all the homes down. Another sign is if houses don't sell quickly. If all of a sudden you remember houses selling in 5, 10, 15 days getting under contract, and now you see 10 houses in that neighborhood that are gorgeous and they're just sitting on the market, it usually means that they're overpriced. So look for long market terms. Look for more houses coming on than normal. Look for, houses that are becoming vacant or becoming not maintained. That usually means maybe there's someone not paying their bill and there's a foreclosure. If you see all kinds of signs like this happening, that could be a really good indicator that the market is not going in the right direction and that it could crash. What causes the market to be high? Well, that's easy. More buyers than there are sellers. When there's not enough inventory somewhere, then the prices go up. It's no different than going to like a Taylor Swift concert. Every little girl, including my 9-year-old, wants to go to a Taylor Swift concert. So Taylor Swift gets the ability to put whatever price on there because everybody wants to go. Same with houses. When everybody wants to buy a house, the price keeps going up until nobody wants to buy it. What are the signs the market is slowing down? Well, we kind of covered that earlier, and we talked about longer lead times when houses are closing. when more houses are going on the market and just sitting there, and when there's less new people moving into your town, you can start to see that things are not really happening. When people aren't transacting, when houses are starting to fall into disarray, these are signs that the market's kind of slowing down a little bit. How can you tell if the market will improve? Well, you get your little crystal ball and you start rubbing it and you're like, will the market improve? Hell, who knows? Everybody has a different opinion on this. Some people say follow the stock market. I look at the area. I want to see what's going on in that area. How are the school systems going? You know, is that area really moving and shaking, or are things really happening? And there are lots of exciting things going on. Well, that will affect that localized market. And that's how I would tell. I don't look at the whole country as a market. I look at every individual town, because different areas of the country can have different expectations and can have different markets. So just because something is happening in Ohio doesn't mean it's happening in New Jersey. So look at your localized market to determine whether or not you want to move forward or buy in there. So folks, there you have it. Those were the most Googled questions about real estate. Do you have a question that's not on there? Let's find out why it's not on there. We will get you the answers. See you next time.